There are tinted serums, there's BB creams, there's light coverage, there's full coverage, there's brushes versus beauty blenders versus fingertip applications. How are you supposed to know what to use and how to use it when you see so many different things being used in so many different ways? I get it, it's tricky. If you're new, my name is Gabby. I've been a makeup artist for 18 years, and today I'm gonna break it down for you. We are gonna go through the most common foundation types. I'm gonna show you some drugstore and some high-end options, and I'm gonna show you the best application tools to pair with each one. A very special thank you to CrediThink for sponsoring the skincare part of today's video. Let's get started. So step one in getting a makeup artist level foundation application is skin prep. I know this isn't the most exciting part of the video, but it actually is the most important part of the video, because if you don't prep your skin properly, nothing that you use and nothing that you do is going to look good. The first thing you're gonna do is, of course, wash your face. You wanna start with a really clean canvas that doesn't have any oil or makeup buildup or residue on it. And then what you use after you wash your face is gonna be determined by the skin type that you have, right? Whether it's normal, combination, oily, or dry. If you have normal skin is balanced. It doesn't feel too dry or too oily. It's not prone to breakouts or flakiness, and it doesn't feel greasy or tight at all. If you have combination skin has oily areas, but it also has some dry or maybe even just normal areas. Then we have oily skin, and oily skin is skin that has oversized sebaceous glands, so it produces excessive amounts of oil, giving the appearance of really shiny and greasy skin. And then of course there's dry skin. So dry skin is the opposite of oily skin. It occurs when your skin loses too much water and oil, and it can often look dehydrated or flaky, and fine lines and wrinkles can really be emphasized. It's very important to know your skin type so that you know how to prep your skin in order to have your makeup look as good as possible. And it's also really important to know your skin type so that you know what type of formulas of foundation to go for. So let's start with dry or normal skin, okay? If you have dry or normal skin, this is an amazing skin prep product. This is the Beta Glucan Power Moisture Serum. This is so amazing for hydrating and soothing dry, sensitive skin, mature skin. Anyone that needs that kind of boost of moisture that's not too greasy, it's not gonna sit on top of the skin too much. This is phenomenal. It has a really high concentration of beta glucan, 400,000 ppm, that's 40%. Beta glucan, for those of you guys that don't know, it's a powerhouse humectant, and it's been scientifically proven to hydrate skin 20 times better than hyaluronic acid. So it really deeply penetrates the skin, it boosts the skin's immunity, and it stabilizes the skin's barrier. Another really cool thing about it is that it has glycerin and hyaluronic acid in the formula, which maximizes that hydrating effect even more. If you want something to really deeply soothe and hydrate, I highly recommend you guys get this. Now, another really good one for dry skin is the Landbell Supernatural Cream. This has a much thicker consistency. So this has a very viscous consistency, but it melts into the skin like butter. And it's been clinically proven to provide 72 hours of hydration. Even though this does have a more viscous formula, it's so smooth and comfortable to wear. It's also very skin friendly. This is not a moisturizer that you're going to react to, and it sits at an amazing price. So if you need more hydration than this, if you have really dry skin or dry mature skin, then I really do recommend getting this one. This is an amazing moisturizer for such a good price, like an incredible price. Now, if you have combination or oily skin, you guys gotta check this out. This is the Niacinamide Advanced Serum. This is amazing because it has 20% niacinamide, and niacinamide has so many amazing benefits. It strengthens the skin barrier, it reduces dark spots like sunspots or age spots, and it regulates excess oil production, which is something that people like me really need. Another thing I want to tell you about this one is that it's an incredible price for the quality. It's super affordable. It's very similar to the Paula's Choice Niacinamide Serum, but for a fraction of the cost. There is a giveaway today, okay? And 5 winners are gonna win all 3 of these products. You lucky duckies are gonna win all 3 of these products. So what you need to do in order to win this giveaway is tell me in the comment section what you are struggling with the most with your skin. 2 weeks from today, I want you to come back. I want you to check the community board here on YouTube, and I want you to check my Instagram. I always post giveaway winners on my Instagram, and it's way easier for me to be able to tag you on the post that you know you won. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram so that when I do giveaway winners, and I do giveaways all the time, I'm sure you guys have noticed, I do them multiple times a month, I will pop up that winner on my Instagram, and then if you follow me, I can tag you, and then you'll be notified that you won, because some prizes are going unclaimed. So make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm very, very active on that platform. I am on there every single day, and then I can communicate with you a little bit more directly than I can here on YouTube. Now, the next thing you need to do is you need to choose your foundation formula. So there are 3 categories of foundations that you can choose. There's light to medium coverage, there's medium to full coverage, and then there's tinted serums or tinted moisturizers like BB creams, CC creams, all of that, right? So which one should you pick for you? I'm gonna break it down in a way that is very visual and very easy to understand. So if you want less of your skin shining through, and you have skin discoloration issues, for example, that you're looking to camouflage completely, then you need to pick medium to full coverage foundations, okay? So you wanna think of medium to full coverage foundations like opaque colored pantyhose. Not much of your skin is gonna shine through them at all. Now, if you want some of your skin to shine through, like if you have minimal skin issues, but you still want to even out the complexion quite a bit, then you want to pick light to medium coverage. So you want to think of light to medium as sheer colored pantyhose. It blurs a lot of things out, but you can still see your skin through it. And then if you want all of your skin to shine through and you want to add some radiance and slight smoothing, just a little bit of smoothing, then you want to pick a tinted serum or a tinted moisturizer like a CC cream or a BB cream. These products are like sheer clear pantyhose. You still wear sheer clear pantyhose, right? It still smooths your skin out, but it doesn't do it nearly as much as the colored pantyhose. So there's a time and place for everything. It doesn't mean that a tinted serum is useless. It absolutely is not. It's still going to give you luminosity and some color evening out, but it's gonna do it in a much more subtle way than the other foundation formulas are. Let's get into it. Let's start with our easiest application of all, and those are tinted serums or tinted moisturizers. This is a very sheer wash of color, very softly evens out the skin, but is not fussy at all. For that, I wanna show you 2 different textures on both sides of my face. So for the first one, I'm gonna show you a Chanel product. This is the Water Fresh Complexion Touch. This is very nice. It has very low amounts of coverage. There's these little beads that are suspended in like a gel, and they kind of burst onto your skin, and they even things out in a very subtle way and gives you a really nice natural glow. This is a little bit better for drier skin types as a FYI, because it is very glowy. Then we have a drugstore version. I always like to do high-end in drugstore so that you guys can see different options. This is my favorite drugstore BB cream. It's really nice and lightweight, and I really think it has a beautiful, very soft coverage. Now, whenever I'm working with this type of product, the way that I like to use it, or the way that I like to apply it, is just with my fingertips, believe it or not. I find that this is such a great technique for melting very soft finished products that don't need a lot of precision. I clearly haven't used this in a little while. That's why it's beading a little bit. It's not because of the product, it's just because there was a little bit of residual stuff that had dried up on the cap here. When I am applying a foundation this way, I really like to work in kind of circular motions, just buffing and blending with my fingertips. And because my fingertips are warm, it's gonna melt that product right into the skin. So that's gonna be the same application technique for the Maybelline one. I'm just squeezing my light color with my dark color, and then I am melting it together on my hand first to create, a better complexion color for me. And then I am going ahead and I am just melting it into the skin like butter. This is a beautiful, beautiful product. I can't believe it's a drugstore and it is so unbelievably inexpensive. Now, the concealer that I really like to use is this one. This is by NARS, and it is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I like this one because it has a nice soft matte finish. Since this has such a radiant finish already, I find if I go in with a radiant concealer as well, it can be a little bit too much shine. So I like balancing out the coverage with something a little more matte. Matte products also tend to give a bit more coverage in general and longer lasting coverage. So that's when I can go into any dark spots and I can apply that concealer right on top of the serum to kind of blend and blur it out. Now, when I'm doing this, I want you to notice how I am stippling. So this brush is the A506 brush. It's Angie's Hot and Flashy brush, her collab with BK Beauty. BK Beauty has the best brushes on the market in my opinion. I have all of them. I love all of them. It has a really nice density to it, which really packs that concealer on. And I want you to notice when I am using it, that I'm using it in stippling motions. So wherever you need coverage, so for example, here I have a dark spot, you want to stipple. You want to apply your concealer to that area and then you just want to stipple. Stippling is going to build out the coverage, whereas when you drag the brush, you're kind of shearing out the coverage. So if you really, really need to cover something large, you can stipple in the really dark area and then you can shear out the coverage by blending it in a sweeping motion. When it comes to under the eyes, again, we just go right into the depth. I really struggle with my under eyes. My under eyes is like the biggest problem that I have on my face. I always need a lot of coverage here. So I like applying my concealer right where there's a lot of hollowness. So if you have the same really dark under eye, you want to apply it right where there's a lot of hollowness. And then you want to apply it here in a sweeping up motion, and that's going to give you that chiseled kind of facelift effect. Now here, it's very important that we stipple. If you don't have a concealer brush, you can absolutely stipple with your fingers. I did this for years. It was my favorite way of applying concealer. The warmth of your finger does a really good job of blending out the formulation. When it comes to working in this zone, you definitely don't want to drag. You want to press all of that product in there to build up the coverage flawlessly. Now, I can also do that with a brush. So the brush is the exact same thing. You're going to be stippling, stipple, stipple, stipple. And again, if there's areas where you want to shear out the coverage, then you can start moving in a sweeping motion instead of a patting motion. Now, even when you're using a tinted moisturizer or a tinted serum, it's pretty important that you set your products still, because if you don't set them, they are going to crease, especially concealer, especially if you have any lines. Now, I just got this powder. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Brightening Flawless Finish Powder, and it's for brightening and blurring and lifting. It's for targeting dark circle shadows, and it's very finely milled to be used directly under the eyes. I'm really hoping that this works because I'm having a lot of issues with my powder looking very dry and flaky under the eyes. So let's try it together today. I mean, it's beautiful packaging. It has a translucent type of finish, but the girl at Sephora told me there's a bit of a glow to it. So when I am doing under eye coverage or under eye setting, I like using a little triangular powder puff. I just got these on Amazon. I will link them for you below. I apply the powder to it, then I put a bit of it on my hand so it's not so strong. And then I just press it into the areas. Now, if you notice that I'm stippling, it's because as soon as you put concealer on, you're already gonna start creasing immediately. Cream likes moving in crevices, so just make sure when you're setting your concealer that you're smoothing out the creases before you set your concealer. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? So you can see the difference between this side, which looks a lot more airbrushed, and this side, which has a lot more texture and is a lot shinier. So, okay, we're gonna see how this wears over the day, but looks like a good powder. I'm actually really glad. I've been looking for something desperately to help me and to help you. Now, if you struggle with oil at all, then you're also going to want to do a little bit of setting on the chin where we tend to get oily, and of course here on the forehead. You can still have a beautiful radiant glow without being too oily. So here is our tinted serum, tinted moisturizer using a fingertip application. Okay, let's take this off and move on to light coverage. glowy foundation. Okay, so of course we're still gonna start with some hydration, right? We don't wanna put foundation on skin that is stripped ever. It will never look good. It will never work out the way you want it to work out. The most beloved light coverage foundation that has a luminous finish by everyone is Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. Everyone loves this. A dupe for it that I also love, that's way, way, way less expensive and just as good in my opinion, if not even better, is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. So I'm gonna show you this on either sides of my face. Now, when it comes to application for this, can you use your fingers? Of course, right? You can use whatever you wanna use. But in my opinion, whenever we have a low viscosity foundation, so when I say low viscosity, what I mean is when we pump it on our hand, it immediately starts running down the hand. So it's not high viscosity, right? High viscosity is when you pump it on the hand, it doesn't want to run at all. So whenever I'm using a low viscosity foundation, my favorite application tool for it is a foundation brush. Now, the old school foundation brushes used to look like, oh my God, I don't even have one anymore. They used to be, I thought I had one. Wait, hold on. I found one in my beauty room. So the old foundation brushes used to look like this. They were synthetic fiber brushes that had like a plasticky consistency to them. Now, the reason that no one's using these anymore is because they actually lead to quite a streaky finish. You don't see these as often, especially not in pro makeup artist kits. You will always see something with more of like a natural fiber. So I'm gonna show you two that I love. We can use one on either side. This is Angie's Hot and Flashy BK Beauty number A101. Fantastic brush. And then Nikki LaRose also did a collab. Lisa, Angie, and Nikki are actually my friends. I love them all so much and they all have amazing channels. You guys have to check them out. Next month, we're actually all meeting in a content house and we are creating content with one another. Justin Hickox is gonna be there. Penn Smith Skincare is gonna be there. Angie Hot and Flashy, Nikki LaRose. Like, it is going to be an amazing collab. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, so the cool thing about Nikki's brush is that it looks like the old school brush. So it gets in all like the nooks and crannies, but it has fluffy hair. Now, when you're using anything that has more coverage, this is still light coverage, but it still has more coverage than the CC cream. You always wanna start by applying it to the center of the face where we need more coverage, right? It's always the center of the face that needs the coverage. So you wanna apply the most amount of product there. And then when you are applying, if you want to build coverage, again, you want to stipple. So you want to press the product into the skin. And then when you get to the periphery of the face, you want to then blend it out by sweeping. So you stipple when you're in the middle, stipple, stipple, stipple. And then when you're trying to blend out the edges, you go ahead and you sweep. Okay, and then we can take our Infallible Pro Glow. Again, beautiful radiant finish. Better for normal to dry skin if I'm being honest. So if you have oilier skin like I do, you might need to use a lot more setting powder with it, or you might want to choose a different formulation, but it is absolutely beautiful for normal to dry skin. And then we can take this brush. Now this brush is a little bit different in shape and also in densities. This is denser, so you can get more coverage with this brush than with this brush, but you can also build up coverage with this one if you like this one more by stippling. But either way, I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. So again, we're gonna start in the center of the face. You guys see how I'm stippling? And then as we get to the ends of the face, we start shearing it out in sweeping motions. I wanna show you another concealer that I just discovered that I am absolutely loving, if I can even find it here. Okay, and it is the e.l.f. It is the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer. This concealer is so great. It is so affordable and it is so, so good. This one's a lot more hydrating than this one. So if you have a lot of issues with dryness under the eyes, then you can go in with this. Again, I'll show you, I do it very similarly. We want to kind of focus the corrective color here in that deep hollow zone, and then sweep up here on the sides. And then again, we can apply it to any areas that are darker. Now you can see that the dark areas that I had, you can hardly see them anymore because the foundation, even though it's more of a light coverage, it's significantly more coverage than the serum or the BB cream. So you can work less hard in those zones with your concealer because you've already done so much of that coverage with the foundation itself. So this is what the application looks like using a light coverage foundation with a foundation brush application technique. Now I want to talk a little bit about powder foundations because they are often ignored and they actually are quite convenient for a lot of people. I'm going to show you two different types where the formulation is quite different. So the first one I want to show you is by Jane Iredale. Jane Iredale has it's a beautiful line of cosmetics. So this is the first one I want to use. This one's a mineral-based powder foundation. And I also want to show you the Makeup Forever one. Now this is HD Skin Matte Velvet. This is more of a full coverage 24-hour foundation. So this is more intense than this one, but they are both excellent. This has rave reviews. People absolutely love it. When it comes to powder foundations though, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna wanna use a kabuki brush for it. So a kabuki brush is just a brush that has a very dense, flat head, okay? That's gonna pick up a ton of powder and it's gonna allow you to seamlessly blend it out. Now, Jane Iredale obviously has its own kabuki brush that goes with its foundation. So I'll show you how to use that. So you're just going to dip into it. I like swirling it on the pan. I always like to tap off excess so that I don't get too much of an application. And then again, starting on the center of the face, I like working in little circular motions. Now you can also stipple. So if you see right here, I am stippling the middle of my face and that is building up coverage as well. You can work in either circular motions, buffing it into the skin flawlessly, or you can stipple it in. Now I find when you're working with a powder foundation, you definitely want to avoid the under eye area. That area just has a tendency to look super dry if we put any powder in there, especially if it's not a powder specifically made for under eyes, unless you're very young. If you're very young, you'll get away with it. If you have any texture or fine lines at all, it's going to be really aging. It's just not going to work for you. So just avoid it, okay? So just do the rest of your face, avoid it, and then you can go in with the concealer of your choice later, and then you can set that concealer with a powder that's made specifically for under the eyes and not just for the whole entire face. Powder foundation is just too heavy under the eyes. Okay, so for Makeup Forever, again, here's another kabuki style brush. This is Sigma F47. It's called the Multitasker, but it is like a kabuki brush. It's really dense and flat. You know, lots of hair density is going to pick up loads of powder. And then again, starting in the center of the face, you can kind of press it into that area where you need more coverage. And then you can start blending it out in circular motions. Okay, just popped my concealer on there. I didn't want you to have to sit through that again. But if you are finding that you're still having imperfections shining through, like in here. So this is the Jane Iredale side. So you can see that I still have some imperfections shining through. You can then go in with a more dense brush. So again, this one, A506, you can go in and you can cover it with the actual powder if you want to, or you can go in with the concealer. Don't be afraid of using concealer on top of a powder foundation. It's absolutely fine. It will blend no problem. I know there's a little bit of fear of mixing mediums like that, right? Mixing powder and cream. But when it comes to powder foundation, they really do melt into the skin like a cream anyway. So it's not gonna end up looking patchy and weird, especially if you do your skin prep, right? Skin prep's pretty important. Here's the finished result of our powder foundation application using a kabuki brush. Finally, let's talk about full coverage foundation. Full coverage foundation is great because it can really make you look perfect. It can be really long lasting. It can be bulletproof, sweat proof, tear proof. All of the proofs, everything that I say about my favorite foundation, Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is such an OG foundation, but it really is my favorite. I use it all the time, especially if I want something that's gonna last a really long time. I did find a dupe for it, L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. Same type of thing, same super long wear, same matte finish, oil free. These are both really good for like normal combination to oily skin types. They last really long and they look really good. And as long as you properly hydrate your skin, even if you have a drier skin type, you can get away with it. You might just need to add more hydration to your skincare, or you might want to mix a little bit of your hydrator with the actual product. Okay, this formula is viscous. Again, what that means is that when you put it on your hand, you're not going to see it running down. Full coverage formulas are typically like this. They are not runny. This one runs a little bit, but if you look at Pro Matte by L'Oreal, you can see that the viscosity is really high, so it's not going to run. So that's it right there. But this one's actually quite viscous too. So when you're applying a foundation like this, a full coverage foundation, I find that using a brush isn't actually that great for it. This is something that I learned from Marlena Stell. Marlena is also at the Creator House, and she is an amazing content creator, makeup artist, and brand developer. So she's someone to watch. If you don't watch her, you should watch her. She's amazing. So she suggests, instead of using a brush like this, a foundation brush, you know, it's going to kind of drag on the skin. It's not going to blend the product out as seamlessly. You want to use a beauty blender. Now, when you're using a beauty blender, I think this is common sense, but a lot of people don't know it. You have to run it under water, and you have to open and close it multiple times while the warm water is running through it. And it's going to like double in size. This is the one that I use all the time, so it's a little bit worn out, but it's basically going to double in size. You can really see that. And then you can go in from your hand, you can apply to the center of the face where you need the most coverage, and then you can stipple and blend it out. Now, when you're using a beauty blender, you're almost always stippling. You're stippling pretty much in every zone. Okay, then we can go in with our L'Oreal one. Again, where we need more coverage, center of the face. Start with our application there. And then we just kind of shear it out as we get to the ends of the face. Now, when I get to the jawline, I do use little sweeping motions just to really, really shear that out. So before going in with concealer at all, you can see that the fuller coverage formula, it really does take away almost all of your imperfections, and you really need next to no concealer on the little imperfection areas. I still obviously need concealer under my eyes because I never go into the under eye area with my foundation. I try not to layer too many products there. But in the other areas where I have discoloration or a pimple or whatever, you need a lot less concealer when you use a fuller coverage foundation, which is completely obvious. Now, a beauty blender is also really good around the eyes. It does a really good job of building coverage in areas that really need it. So you can even use a beauty blender just for under eye concealer if you want to. The great thing about a beauty blender too is that it also picks up excessive product. So if you went a little heavy, like say you went a little heavy on the concealer, if you keep kind of pushing it into the skin when the brush is clean, you're going to lift and remove a little bit of it, but not in a way that's patchy, just in a way that it kind of removes excess product, but blends out what's underneath, which is amazing. With that said, you guys, I have really changed my content style in the last little while. I have made the videos a lot more conversational, a lot more relaxed, a lot more like the old school YouTubers, because that's really what I enjoy watching. I would love to know if you guys are enjoying this style of content more, or if you preferred my faster paced videos that I did last year. Leave that in the comments for me if you don't mind, and I can make whatever you guys want me to make. I've just really been enjoying more of these thorough videos, you know, where I can get to know you better, you can get to know me better, and we can learn things in a little bit of a deeper way. My goal on here really is to help you feel like the absolute best version of yourself, like the most beautiful version of yourself. And so when I can thoroughly explain things, it really helps me help you. So let me know if you're enjoying that, or if you would prefer some of more of those like really high paced, you know, punchy videos. Here is our full coverage foundation applied with a damp beauty blender. Thank Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, don't forget to enter the giveaway. Let me know what you are struggling with the most in your skincare routine. What is driving you crazy about your skin? 5 of you are going to win all 3 of these products. This video is over.